welcome to Don't You Know I'm Loco podcast. We are three cousins looking to break generational curses by sharing our mental health and healing journeys. Join me, Candy, along with
Lisa
and
Renee,
as we talk about
the things we're not supposed to talk about.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, we have a special guest today.
Yay!
Hi. I'm Diana. I am one of the younger cousins in the group. I'm 33. I am a mother. I've been divorced and I have anxiety and depression.
Thank you for being honest.
You're welcome.
Same,
yeah.
less to say. So, today, trigger warning, we will be talking about suicide and self-harm in this episode. So, if that's not something you want to listen to, we understand. So, just wanted to give you guys a heads up about that. So, let's start with our challenges.
I'll go first.
Renee always goes first. Okay, Renee, what was your challenge this week?
My challenge this week was like trying to download the
we were having technical
episode.
difficulties.
We were having technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
It took me all week, and I was like, I wanted to give up. I was so annoyed by it. Dealing with that, and then
Good job. Thank you.
and then I started working part-time or on call, and they called me at 5:45 in the morning, Saturday morning, and they asked me if I wanted to work. It was this lady, right? She's the owner of this company where I do runs to like different states. Like I went to Phoenix one time. That was my one time I did it.
Tell us what you do because that sounds very familiar to
Well, I think it was taking medical equipment to the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're a delivery driver.
Yeah. Right, I was doing it part-time just to make a little bit extra money.
Mm-hmm.
So when she called me, like, I don't have a set salary. It's not like she tells you, oh, this is hourly, this is what you're going to get.
Yeah.
So I gotta make sure it's worth my time, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, she's like, yeah, it's over to St. George. I was like, oh, okay, how much, what's the rate? Like, what's the pay? And she, if you want to keep working for me, you gotta stop asking me that.
Oh,
And I was like,
I would have clicked on her.
and I just stayed quiet for a little bit. I was like, nah, I'm done. And I hung up. Yeah. And then she texted me, you better not have hung up on me. I was like, I am not going to work for this person. Like, I don't need this.
Way.
Yeah, I was like, rude. Yeah. So,
What the heck?
yeah, so I ended up like
Awful.
not calling her back. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to work for somebody like you. Like, what do these employers think they are? Like, talking to people like that.
Oh my
Like, no.
Yeah, wow.
And I had a toothache. I went away. And I was dealing with the puppy, like peeing and shitting everywhere.
No.
And I had like a conversation with like a ex-girlfriend, and we resolved it. Like, she's my friend still, and she tried to get under my skin, and I didn't let it. Like, I processed.
Good for you.
Like, I'm processing everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
like shit's gonna hit you emotionally. Like, it's gonna trigger you, but
Sure.
it's up to you to not let it anger you or make you pissed or anything like that.
Right.
I processed it. I was like, oh shit! Like,
Wow.
it went through
It
my
was
head.
different?
It was different. Before I would have cursed her out. I would have like blocked her, or I would have done all that stuff, and I didn't. Like, and then she ended up apologizing. She's like, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said those things. I'm like, man, like this was like a really tough weekend, but in a way it wasn't, because the way I'm dealing with shit.
Yeah, you're able to see like your changes
Yeah.
that you made because it would have went a lot
It
worse.
would have been worse.
Wow,
I would have lost my shit. I was proud of myself. I was like,
for
oh my
sure.
god.
Good for you.
Yeah. Well, that was my weekend.
I want to kind of piggyback off of that though, because so I also had through text conversation with an ex as well. They apologized for some things, and I wanted to react kind of like with my anger that I've had and like with my feelings that I had.
You're waiting for this moment.
Yeah, my time to shine. And I did it though. I just acknowledged it. I said, okay, I appreciate that, and we'll see how it goes from there. So we'll see how it goes from there. But I was like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Adult of you.
I know.
Oh,
Like, I
good
could've
for
been
you. Like,
But nope. I was just like, okay, I appreciate the apology, and left it at that. Yeah, that was my challenge for this
There you
weekend.
go. There you
There you
go.
go. She wasn't gonna do one.
I wasn't. She's like, I'm better than that. You same. Look at us.
We're growing.
Growth.
No, but like one thing like I learned is shit's gonna happen, right? People are gonna do things. The world's gonna do things like this fucking computer here, and it's how you react to it.
Exactly.
That's the only thing you can control. You can't control anything, right?
Yep.
You can just control who you are, how you react to it. That's what I'm learning too about this stuff.
Yeah. Well, good for you, Renee and Diana.
Yeah.
My challenge has to do with work. One of my coworkers were like, I'm gonna leave it at that. Coworkers, she's like slacking off, like bad, and it's like irritating to me. Like, what the hell? Like, I'm over here like so stressed because right now, I work in accounting, and the month end stuff, like everything has the last week of the month and the first week of the following month are always the busiest because all these reports and everything need to be closed and on time. So like to see her like slacking off like bothered me, and I'm like, and I don't want to be like, I want to be a Karen. Like I don't want to be like the one lady that hates me at work, that tattletales and all this shit. And I was like, I feel myself having like an animosity towards her. Like I'm like, what? Like, how are you gonna ask me to help in that, And then I'm trying to not say what it is. But
Yeah.
But so what I've been doing is just putting my headphones on and just minding my business because that's all I can do. And if she gets in trouble, then that's on her. But I'm just like, because the other thing was like, well, if you get fired, then all that stuff comes back to me. Like I'm gonna end up with all that work. So. But I was like, nope, we can't think about that. Like, you're just stressing yourself for nothing. And so I just decided to just put my music on loud and just get through my work. So,
Yeah. That's the best thing you can do.
yeah.
That's the best thing because you do your work and it sucks, but I mean, that's as HR aspect of it, that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah.
You told, right? Or you had a conversation?
No, like, it's something that's been happening for months, like maybe even like a year.
Damn.
And I did, and then it's just like I got tired of it.
Okay.
And then like I've even told her like, hey, and it just seems like it's a reoccurring thing. So it's like, okay. Yeah.
I would document that just to have it, or not even.
I'm like,
next time.
I have a
Maybe
picture
you
I'll
do.
show you. Oh, she's sleeping at her desk. She's been sleeping at her desk.
Oh,
Okay?
shit.
Like literally head down, like slow, and then up, like yeah. And that's why I'm like, you're gonna get caught. Like you're gonna get in trouble. They're gonna fire you.
I'm sure she's going through something, and she's. I don't know.
Yes, but it's like it's been something that our boss has talked to her about it, and like we're like, okay, like
So she needs to
get
like almost get in trouble.
again. Yeah. So I don't know. So I try not to be upset, but yeah, I have tried. Sometimes I be
You
saying,
have like a desk cam.
no, literally because it was
No
like
idea.
me the only one, and I was literally like this. Because I was like, I'd be sending it to my best friend, like, look at this. How are we getting paid the same? You're still in your bed over there. Yeah, but it's just annoying because it's like, it's been like a long time asleep and stuff doesn't get done. So, but whatever. Just put my headphones in and not even look
just
that
do
way.
work.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully you don't have to be there too long.
I know. I know.
So,
Yep.
Well, my challenge is an ongoing challenge of trying to get back on track and, trying to get, my shit together and, like all these. I've been doing a lot of snapping myself out of stuff because it's like one thing after another, right?
Mhm.
Like, back to school is coming, so it's like such a huge expense, right? Like, heck, I mean, I know we had like back to school and we like, went to Kmart and got our little backpacks and everything, right? And our layaway and everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, fuck, right now it's like mortgage or freaking back to school, like, fuck. I'm just kidding, I'm not. But like, it's just like one thing after another thing after another, and it's just like, man, I can't catch a break. But I'm like super like thankful and grateful that I have tools to snap myself out of it because I have been depressed. I have been like super anxious lately, and and like I can't get my schoolwork done because my head is like somewhere else. So it's like it's stuff that I'm recognizing. And I did call for my counselor.
Yeah, Lisa, you saw it, huh?
Yes, because I forgot. Because I did have a little setback because I was going through work and our EAP, the company just changed or whatever. So I had the wrong information, so I'm good now. It's in the process, but yes. And you know what? It's funny. That's actually why, because who was it on, let's say Wednesday?
Yes.
Yesterday. It was yesterday when I was like, wait a minute, like, we have a podcast tomorrow. And I was like, what do I have to do? And then I was like, and I was just thinking, I was like, oh my God, I have to call. And it was just like, oh my gosh. And then, yeah. So that started the process though. So, and it was because I think, so I was like, oh,
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about it tomorrow.
I said.
Yeah. That's funny because I had a conversation with Fernando. We were coming back from California, and I was like, because he's noticed a change in me. Like, he's just like, he always tells me like, this is the partner that I've been waiting for. And I'm like, I'm so glad you waited. Like, oh my God. And I'm like, if it wasn't for the podcast, I wouldn't have gone to see a behavioral therapist because you were talking about your journey with ADHD and how that's how you started to get your diagnosis. And because of that, I got a diagnosis and I got put on this new medicine. And this new medicine has helped so much, like brain fog, and I like want to get up in the morning and stuff. Like, I'm not dragging my feet. Like, I used to get to work like minutes before I was supposed to get there, and now I'll get there like at 7, or I'll get there at like 8, and I'm alone in the office for like an hour, which is nice. And then like even taking the dogs for a walk and getting stuff done in the morning. Like this morning I took them for a walk and then I took them a bath all before I got to work. Like, I'm like, oh.
I'm so proud. I'm so impressed. I love it. That's like a whole day right there.
Yeah, she knows because she would get up, or Diana would get up early, and I'm like, who picks up that early? And and I get it now.
Wait. That's what you do?
Yeah, I wake up at 4:30 a.m. To work out. Make sure I get my workout in because if I try to do it after work, I will not be able to. So I decided that's what works for me. And then once school comes back in, it works still, I'll be done. That's when I make sure my daughter is ready for school and we're on our way. I have like half my day already done before I go to work.
Wow.
That makes a big difference.
It does.
Routine.
Yeah.
I always preach routine here.
You know who holds me accountable at home? My dog Chula. She's literally like shaking me with her little paws to wake up. And then she'll growl at me if I don't get up. And I'm like, okay, let's get up.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Literally shakes me to wake up. Like, it's time to go for a walk. Let's go.
Dang.
Yeah.
Lady doesn't do that?
No.
She's like,
I gotta like trip over her and then she's like looking up side eye.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Kobe gets me up.
I love that. that.
It took a lot. It took a lot.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot of discipline to do
Yes,
this because it was hard at first. Like I remember at one point on Instagram, I was like, I want to be the 5 a.m. workout person so bad, and freaking a year, maybe 2 later, here we are.
There you go.
Good job. I love it. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome.
What an inspiration.
That's
No joke.
discipline.
No joke. Yeah. And you know what's like, after I got out of the military, I kept my routine, like early morning, workout, breakfast, go to work, right? It was like everything was done before 9, right? Like that was like our thing. And I kept up, and then, you know, life happens, and then I was like, eh. And now, like, but that was like the best feeling ever, was getting your workout in, getting all your lunch stuff in. Like, oh my gosh, Diana, I like that. I'm gonna text you like 4:30.
Yeah, like, hey girl, what's up?
Hey,
No, and it like takes everything in me. So like I go to bed, I'm in bed by 8:30. Yes, and it's hard, especially with kids. It's hard, but I try to be in bed by then. My phone, I'm done with my phone for the night, and then I'll get messed like when I get my phone. When I'm working out, I'll like check my phone, and I'm like, "Oh, so and so text me."
It's me. I always text her. Me. I'm always texting. Like I know she's probably asleep, and she'll text me in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, and then it takes everything in me to not text her back at 4:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Text me back. It'll just I have
You
to
just
not
won't see
disturb.
it until-
Yeah, I have to
Oh,
not disturb.
okay. See, there you go. But I'm like, I'm up and ready to have a conversation at that time. Like, if I need to make phone calls for like, you know, cards or like insurance and stuff, I'm like, hello, is anybody? Can you answer? I'm like, hey.
Wow. I am so impressed. I love that. Oh, okay.
Oh, by the way, Diana is my baby sister.
Yeah, I was
Candy. Yes,
Yes.
Candy and Diana.
Which makes her my double cousin too.
Yes.
Yep.
And my cousin.
Yes.
Of
Yes.
course.
Forgot to start off with that.
She's the second youngest, right? Of the cousins of like the 30, whatever we have. Right. Peter.
Well,
I feel like, yeah.
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 I think she is.
But I wasn't sure. That's why I said
I
one.
think she
Yeah,
is.
she is.
Yeah.
Second youngest.
I think you are.
Peter. And then, hello, Peter.
Hi, Peter. Yeah. So we'll never run out of guests to have because we have a lot of times.
never.
A lot, and a lot of them listen to it. So if you want to come,
Aw, you
let us
guys
know.
Just come. It's so
You can always
fun.
stay here.
It's so fun.
We
yeah,
have 2 rooms.
it's so fun.
Yeah.
All right, now to get down to some serious stuff, we're gonna go over suicide and self-harm. I know I myself have had suicide attempts along with suicide ideations, and I want to say that they go back since I was a kid. Like, I know I talked about it when Dr. Cannell was here, and I recognized each of those times as my emotions were too much for me to handle, and that was my way to stop them. Like, that was my way out. Was I can't take it anymore. This is the only way out. And somebody, I think I heard a podcast or something, and the guy was saying, like, when people want to commit suicide, I feel like it's taking the easy way out. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just you don't know what else to do. You
Run out
feel
of
like,
options.
yeah, you feel like it's the only thing to do. And so I'm like, okay, no, you're not weak if you do that. It's too much for you to handle, and that's what you think in that moment that it is.
That's interesting. It was like on a podcast, like he was.
Yeah, he was saying, and I was like, should I correct him? Like,
Yeah.
but I was
Because
like,
you don't know
that's not true.
what led up to that.
yeah,
You know, you don't just wake up one day and be like, I don't like today. I'm gonna, like it leads up to
yeah,
something, right?
Yeah, it's like boiling water, and like, with the lid on, and then it's like, all of a sudden, yeah. So one of the times I was, I'm trying to think. was in like my 19, almost in my 20s. And then I would like self-harm and stuff like that. And then I realized that for me, alcohol was also self-harm for myself, because I would drink and black out, and that's how I was dealing with my emotions. Like just all these thoughts that I would have and stuff like that, I see now that it was my anxiety and depression and stuff, that it was like I didn't have the tools that I have now to deal with them, where it's like, okay, this is something bad, but I know how to get through it. Things will be okay. I know how to handle this now on. So, yeah.
And if you don't know, you know to ask. And you know there's an option. There's other options.
There's help out there.
Yeah. I wish we knew this stuff like growing up. You know, it would have helped us so much.
Yeah, because every time that I tried, it was because something was going on and my emotions were just too high. Like they were just too much for me to handle. Like, and I had told my mom one time, like, it was like so casual the way I told her, and she was like, "What?" Like she was so like, "Oh my god," and I was like, "Yeah, but I'm okay now." Like, you know, but I wasn't. But it was like I just wanted to let you know, and I think that was my like, you told somebody, now they're gonna be watching, you know, like, so. Yeah, but I haven't. Huh?
How old were you when you?
When I told my mom, I had to been like late 20s. Yeah, because when I moved here to Las Vegas, I like it. I knew it was a change that I needed, because if I would have stayed in California, I wouldn't have changed my life. And I got lucky that I got a good partner that helped me get to where I'm at now. Yeah.
When I think of that too, like in California, I feel like life would have been different for me as well. I would probably still continue drinking and doing drugs and hanging out with not so good people.
Yeah, and the influences. It's who you surround yourself with.
Isn't that crazy? Like you came to Vegas.
Yeah,
Right? I know.
People always say
But
that.
it's not like
What a
that.
landing pad.
You know.
We
You don't go out.
Right? We don't like stay on the strip 24/7,
No.
guys. It's not like that.
We only go to the strip
rarely
when
go
you
there.
guys go to the
Yeah. When you guys invite us there, that's when we'll go.
or if like we have free tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very rarely.
Very rarely.
It's somebody told me maybe you shouldn't have this as a topic, and I'm like, I thought about it. I was like, this is one of the things we're not supposed to talk about. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind sharing, like because it's like I want people to realize that they're not alone in this. Like everybody here at this table has had thoughts, or I don't know if you guys have had attempts, but you know, you're not alone in it. Like there is a bright side to the other end of it. Like you can get through it, because we've gone through it and we now have the tools to try to not get back to there, because I don't want to say you will never get back there, but you know,
Because the thought's always gonna be it's always gonna be an option, but not the only option.
Yeah.
You know, like it.
And the only time we talk about suicide is like when somebody actually does it. Really, we usually don't open up about it.
Yeah.
I've had to try twice. It happened when I got back from Afghanistan, like my second tour. My emotions were crazy. Like they were just anything little. It was just piling up, like we talked about in the last episode. And there was times where I was working. I went back to work and I was working my attorney service job, and I felt like every 3 months I would just cry in my car. And why am I crying? Like it was just like I guess I didn't know what to do. Right? And just crying would release it, and it helped a lot. But the times I did try, first time I tried it was like 2013. I was in my trailer. Remember where I used to live in Orange?
Oh, yeah.
So I was there, and I don't know what happened. Something just triggered me. It must have been a relationship thing. And I said, I don't feel like dealing with this shit anymore. So I took like 13 trazodones, like the sleeping pills. I took a shot of whiskey and I'm like, I'm going to sleep and hopefully I don't wake up. That was my thought. And luckily I did. And another time I did it when I was drinking, I was like, screw it. That was like maybe 2-3 years later. And yeah, those were my attempts. Luckily, they didn't work.
Yeah.
And when it comes to suicidal ideation, I had that since probably last year. Honestly, like it's gone away. Like there was nights I would pray, like just let me not wake up tomorrow. And luckily that's gone away. But it's been through like working on myself, right? Healing, and if it wasn't for that, I'd probably used to be on the same road right now. Like, you know, like,
we're happy you're here.
yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. You too, Kathy.
I did the same thing. I took pills, and I was living with a cousin at the time, and she woke up to me like throwing up, right? Throwing everything up. And she was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. Like, leave me alone. I'm fine." And like that was the end of it. Like I just left it alone. Like it just looked like I was sick, but it was I took a bunch of pills and then I don't know if it was I changed my mind or it was just my body being like no or what. But yeah, I remember being in the bathroom throwing up like, okay, so we're dealing with this. Yeah. And
how old were you?
Like mid-20s. And then you talking about relationship also reminds me of when I was in high school, I would always like, I don't know what you want to call it, but I used to tell my high school ex-boyfriend that I would kill myself if he left me. And I would like threaten it and like, you know what I mean? And it was like, now I wish that I could go back and apologize. Like, I'm sorry that I did that to you, but it was like, I needed help and at the time I couldn't get it. And now I feel like it was like trauma dumping and like, you know, like, how does that make somebody feel, you know? Like, I just feel awful that I did that to him. But it was like, I think about my mindset at that time, and it was like, at that time, was just drinking away everything and not doing anything. Because I didn't start going and healing till like I was almost 30. So, but yeah.
Part of your journey.
Yep.
I'm sorry, Candy. I'm sorry.
But I'm here.
Actually, how I ended up here is because in Las Vegas, I don't know if I ever told you guys this story. It was 2019, and I was just having like a bad time, and I was really thinking about doing it again. And I hit up some of my friends. I was like, "Hey, I'm not feeling good." They're like, "We'll take you to the VA, right?" So it was my buddy Jimmy and Samudio. They drove me to the VA. I went to like the psych ward there. I was like, I told them, I don't feel like being around. I said something like that. And they told me, well, everybody feels like that. And I was just like,
Oh,
Wow.
here's some vitamin B and something else. And they sent me out. I'm like, wait, yeah.
Wow.
So I was like,
That's terrible.
oh shit. I'm like, what am I going to do? So I called my mom and they're like, come over here. Because they're already living over here, right? They moved to 18. So, Samudio actually drove me over here. And
I remember.
Yeah.
That's right.
so
That's
I,
right. Okay.
I think I called the suicide hotline and they're like, go to the VA, the one over here. So I went to the VA over here and they took me right away. And I was there for like 5 days.
That was
Remember that?
changing, huh?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just changed.
And I was like, I'm never going, because that was I talked trash about Long Beach before, and I would continue to talk trash about Long Beach. Yeah, it's terrible there. It's just, that guy had no empathy at all. Like, it was a male nurse. No empathy, no. It was just, oh, everybody feels like that. I was just like,
No.
man. And yeah, and that's how I ended up here. After I got out of the psych ward, I ended up staying here. So, yeah. I love the Vegas VA here. It's so much better.
It's very like veteran central here, like central.
Yeah.
Like they have parking spots for veterans and all these things for veterans. And I was like, that's cool. Like they do like the banners and everything, which is cool. It's good.
I was like, bro, like in my head, I was thinking, like, don't you know there's 22 veterans that kill themselves a day? Like, how could you just let me walk out like that? I think I launched a complaint against them actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Hopefully it went somewhere.
Yeah, I doubt it. But
Well, I would like to talk about my stories. I've had a few attempts. The reason why I was asking you guys your age was because I wanted to know if there was anything like child stuff that you guys, experienced or anything like that. But not that you have to share it. But I'm just curious to see like what age, right?
yeah.
The very first time I attempted, I was 10. I was 10. I was at home. Like our parents are so like loving and like, just maybe not before. They didn't know how to show it, and a lot of time, like nobody shows us how to be parents, right? Like we just kind of learn as we go, right? So I totally understand them, right? No fault at all, because I've talked to them about it, right? And when I was 10, around that time, there's a lot of stuff going on in my house. A lot of shit. There's just affairs, just fights. There was physical fights. There was, verbal. There was just so much going on. It just depended on the day, right? If it was Monday through Friday, it was good because we went to school. We had that, we got to eat and we got, we had something, right? But on the weekends, it was like, fuck, like what's going to happen, right? It was just like a bad time. And now like that I'm older, I think about, okay, that was when I was around 35, when they were like 35, right? And to me to think when I was 35, I was self-destructive too, right? Maybe not as much or anything crazy, but like we're all learning, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the times, like we heard everything. It wasn't a secret. It was all open. It was, I answered the phone and it was like ladies, like saying like, and I'm telling them like, fuck you bitches, don't call my house, and they're like, it was just like something after another, right? So when I, around that age, I had a really good friend, Adriana. She saw a lot of stuff that was going on and stuff, and she was there for me. She's such a good friend, And I don't remember, like we were talking on the phone or something, and I had already taken like, I don't know, it was like a bottle of Tylenol. I don't know how many it was. It was just, right? And I didn't even know where I got that from. Like, I don't, like, at 9, 10 years old, like, where do you even think like that, right? Like, I don't even know what I was thinking, right? I probably didn't even know what it meant, right? I just knew that it was too much for me and that I didn't want to see this anymore. Yeah. And I just wanted to be done, right? Like, that was my mentality. So I remember telling her, and I didn't think it was a big deal. I really didn't think it was a big deal. I just told her, like, oh yeah, I just did this. And she's like, wait, what? And she calls her mom, and her mom, like, comes to the house with, like, black coffee, and she's like, no, I think they picked me up, and then I go to their house, because my parents weren't home. And, they weren't home, and she picked me up, and she just made me drink, like, coffee, and, like, made me throw it up. Like, it was so bad. It was so, like, oh my God, right? And I never told my parents.
No,
never told them. And then the really, really big one that I like, I mean, it wasn't the last one, but it was like a really big one that I'm so ashamed of that.
Nothing to be ashamed.
Don't be ashamed, Lisa.
It was like my freshman year in high school. My parents were going through shit, and my dad had he was, his truck driving business and everything. He was doing that, and he just got into some weird stuff, and we didn't really talk about it. But he ended up losing a house, right? So we had to move, but we had to like move today, right? And it was like get your shit, you guys gotta go, right? Remember your dad came out with his truck and he helped us move out. And we ended up going to your guys' house, and we lived there, and it was probably like one of the best like feelings ever was to be around you guys, because my brain wasn't thinking of like what happened, right? I started a new school. Because it was my freshman year, I had to go to a different school, right? Where you guys lived, because you guys lived way on the other side of town, whatever you want to say. And I don't even know if I passed any classes while I was out there, because it was, people get up to me. You're the new girl. Luckily, we had our cousin Cynthia that she did make it a little easier for me. But it was still a really, really dark time for me. And I just, wanted to be one less burden. That was like my big thing was, if my parents will have to have me, then it's just easy. Because my brother was already out.
I know you're the middle child, but I feel like you're you know how a lot of the Latino is like older sister, they carry such a burden. The stories that you shared, I feel like you had a lot put on you, and that was not expected of you, but I feel like you took a lot. You put on a lot on yourself too. So I get your thinking, especially as a kid, like, I want to help my parents, and I want, and I'm sorry that you felt that way. Especially being that young.
So, I was staying with you guys, and I had that feeling. It was like, I'm just gonna take whatever was in the medicine. I don't even know what it was. It was like expired medicine. I don't even know what it was. It was just anything that I knew that I just take all of this stuff and I'll be done, right? I wrote a letter. I don't even remember what the letter said. It was, I don't even remember, right? And I just remember taking everything and going to sleep. And then waking up, and they were trying to I just see the ambulance, the lights and stuff, and I'm so confused. I don't know what's going on, and I wake up and I'm in the ER, and they're telling me that they have to put tubes in me to put out the stuff, and I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know who I am. I don't know anything. I was out of it. I did not know anything. And then I was out again. And then I don't remember anything. And then I woke up, and I was at a totally different place. I was at a psych ward. But it was for adolescents. I don't know. I guess they took me because it was not in the same place. I don't even remember. I don't know.
I remember exactly where that place is at because we went to go visit you. I can tell you to this day where that place is at. Because we lived together, and that is a core memory because we found you. Diana, my mom, and I found you. And I remember my mom's reaction, and I remember we couldn't wake you up. And Diana called 911. So if you were 14, if you were 14, we were joking earlier, not that this is a joking matter, but Diana used to call 911 and hang up, and then we were like, Diana, your time to shine. It's a real emergency. Please call 911.
She's like, I'm on it.
Got it.
Plenty of practice.
She was like, guys, for real this time. I'm not playing.
It's me again, but for real, we need you.
She's like, code 4.
Is it Diana Aguilar? already know your
Oh
name.
my gosh. But that is a core like memory. Like I remember going to visit you. I remember we found you. I remember the ambulance coming, and I don't know how how I don't remember how long you were there, or I can only imagine how that felt like to be there.
Fuck. They woke me. When I woke up, I remember like being like told like, hey, like, we're gonna take blood. And I'm like, fuck. And like I was such a daze. I don't know what was in my system. I don't know if it was that like pills or whatever was, because I was like out of it. And so I just like remember like snapshots. And I remember waking up and they're like, hey, we're gonna take blood. I'm like, what? And there was two people with like their little carts. And I don't know how many of those little things they took. Like I passed out again. Like it was too much. I passed out, and then I woke up again, and there was this girl that was in my room, and I don't know. So something was going on with her. Like she was, like she couldn't talk, and she couldn't, like her hair was like just everywhere, and she was topless, and she was just, I don't know. She was just. We were not supposed to be in the same room, but so I was with her, and I was like, oh my God, where am I, right? And then I just met so many people in there that, all their stories, like we all like, we're so different, but so the same, because it was all like, we're all the same age, and we're all like just talking, and we had like group therapy, we had family therapy, which was like Jerry Springer.
Oh my gosh.
That was really bad. That was really bad because everything came out and everything was just like intensified. Where I want to say like the counselor was like, okay, you guys need to do something aside from this, right? And nothing ever happened, obviously. But I do remember him saying like, oh, like this is too much, right? Because yeah, we all got on it. And then and then I had to do like therapy after, but it was so like it was just different. I didn't know what I was doing, like mom would just drop me off and talk to the lady, she would write her paper and that was it, right? So I didn't know what it really was or what, it to me it was still my out. It was still like, okay, like it didn't happen, but it's still an option, right?
Yeah. So
it was some crazy stuff happens when you're young and you're a young adult and stuff, and and then things trigger stuff, and then you're like, what the fuck, and then that's the thing that you go to because you don't know any better, right? You don't know other options, maybe not any better, but other options, and and you attempt again, right? And it just won't work, right? And then it's like for me, it was until I had my daughter, was when I was like, you can never do that to her. And that's it. That's what I live for. Yes, like,
so we took a little break. So I got a lot. Yeah, it got to be a lot. So we are going to send it over to D now.
Oh, really? I think Lisa wanted to finish something?
no, I'm good.
Oh.
I'm good. Shit.
My bad.
I am all right.
All right, so I have had suicidal ideations twice. One, I want to say when I was maybe 16 or 17. Honestly, don't really remember what kind of set it off. I just remember feeling so like hopeless and alone, and I just didn't want to be around anymore. And I just remember crying and just thinking like, what if I wasn't around anymore? But then that got me thinking into what if I really do kill myself, and what is the first thing that popped up in my mind was my nieces and nephews. What is my sister gonna tell them? How does she gonna explain this to them? So those, I just pushed it aside, didn't tell anybody anything, and just went on. So that was the end of that. And then again, and this I remember exactly, June 2020. It was, I could feel myself like being very depressed. I was miserable. I just hated myself. I hated like most of my situation. And I went to the person I was with at the time and told them, like I'm not okay. I'm not happy. I'm depressed. I'm miserable. Like, I can't do this. And the only reason why I'm here is because of my daughter. And I'll never forget this. And I feel like it's kind of hard to forgive this person because all they said was, I know. And that was it. Yeah. My supposedly partner, yeah. And I was like... and so I was like, okay, all right, that like gave me confirmation on a lot of things, So then I think I told my sister, I don't remember, but I remember turning to my sister and she suggested therapy and talking to someone, and that was the beginning of my healing journey. So thank you, Candy. But it's just at that time it was very different from the first time because I didn't just brush it off. I didn't just I told somebody.
You did what you were supposed to do, and that person failed you.
Miserably.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that happened
sorry.
to you.
Thank you. But I'm just glad it stopped right there, and that I knew, that's what kept me hanging out was my daughter. My daughter, like, if and again, I talked myself out of it. What if, my daughter needs me? What if you're not here? Like, who's going to take care of her? No. What if this person keeps her away from your family, and just on and on? But I will say, I dealt with it drinking alcohol. I drank. That was during COVID. Yeah. I was fucking drinking every night, every day. Like, it was bad, but
I'm so happy you're here.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you were vulnerable enough to tell somebody twice, because you could have just not told us what was going on, And I'm glad that I've watched you these past 4 years turn in, like, the light came back into your eyes, and you're just so much happier and like so much healthier mentally and physically, and just like I feel like that person was a leech and took all the happiness and all the like sunshine out of you, and it's so nice to see you be yourself. Like, you're working on yourself and you're learning who you are, and you're this great mom, and like, God, I love your daughter so much. Like,
even though she tries to steal my dog.
Like, if I'm having a bad day, I will go over there just to hug her, because she just like she's the sunshine, and she's the sunshine because of you. And you didn't stay, you fought, and for yourself, and I'm proud of you for fighting for yourself, because that's hard, and it's hard to work on yourself and do all of this while being a mom, but she will see how much work you've done and how much better you are, and I'm sure she remembers some of the situation prior, but she knows that you chose yourself and you chose her, and that speaks volumes. And I'm so proud of you for saying something again to somebody, because the first person failed you. And I'm glad that we were able to get you on, not the help, but to help you be like, you're not alone in this. We got you. Like, we'll figure it out together.
You gave her hope.
You did.
Because you said something hopeless. You were hopeless. And like, damn, that's how I was. I was hopeless. All you use hope, and that's like the little light you need, I think, right? Like this, I think this podcast gives me hope. A lot of hope.
It does. Especially because we get so much feedback, and it's like, wow, like I didn't realize sharing my story, like, made you feel this way, or, made you feel like, oh, I have, like, relatable, basically. But thank you for sharing.
Thank you, yes.
Because it's
courageous.
Yeah.
There.
If I can also say, like, I am so proud of you too. Like the woman that you've become, the mom that you've become. Like, and you can see about your daughter. And it's funny, like, people tell me, like, oh, you can see about from your daughter or whatever, right? And I never really understood that until right now. I can see the reflection that your daughter has from you, because you are that strong woman. You are that, that role model. Like, our moms are role models, like, or like, it wasn't like that, but now it's like you can be. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they didn't have the choice back then.
No. Not at all.
I did want to give some statistics. This says that the death rate from suicide from Hispanic men was 4 times the rate for Hispanic women in 2018. And
oh my gosh.
Like 4 times. And I know a lot of that probably has to do with like machismo, and they're not allowed to be vulnerable. And it's like, that's like that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
One of the biggest things like I heard at the beginning of my journey was just go drink.
Yeah.
Right. Like, when I
Well, that was like, that's the way we were.
That was it.
Not raised, but that was like what we saw. That was like our, and it was, and that's what you did, and that's what they do. And guess what? Like, they end up killing themselves because they're the only ones that are consuming the alcohol that is, damaging their body. That's gonna like end up. I wonder if that's what they're meaning by, because how are they finding out the suicide?
Stats.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, is that they were saying that the statistics and stuff like that. Sorry. They were saying that because of what the death certificate says, you don't really know exactly. You know what I mean? But it's just interesting to think. I mean, and that was in 2018, so I can imagine with COVID and isolation and just a lot of disconnection. But it sucks, because it's like, I think about me and I'm like, okay, if I would have gone to therapy, or if I would have had somebody to talk to, like, how different would my life be, And it's like, with you actually went to a facility, and I'm trying to think of what I'm trying to say. And so that was like an introduction to it with your family, like, okay, this is the path. And then it's like, okay, but then later on in life, you said that you still, like, that was still your out. And it's like, okay, it's just like,
yeah, I don't think, like, when I had to go into the institute, it was more like, I didn't get anything out of it. I don't remember, and learning anything, or, it was just like a holding cell pretty much. And, we had, like, everybody talked about their stuff, but it wasn't like somebody was saying, well, that's wrong or
Oh.
anything like that. Everybody was just talking.
Here's some coping skills.
Yeah, no coping skills at all. I just remember we were outside and I remember like, oh my gosh, I swear like, maybe I'm meant to be like, what is it called? The installated? Where they're like institutionalized?
Yes.
Oh my god, it's not funny, but I remember being outside and looking out and it was like fenced, right? It was like fenced, like the walls were, or not the walls, but outside it was like all fenced. And I remember looking outside and trying to figure out where I was at, like what location, like where I was at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember doing the same thing in the military.
I was gonna say you're in the army.
That's why I'm like, well.
Question: do you think joining made the suicide ideation worse, or?
I don't think it made it worse, but I wish I wasn't told by our recruiter not to share those things, obviously, because you can't get in.
Yeah.
Which is, duh, you shouldn't be disclosing those. I mean, you should,
Yeah.
but you won't get in,
Yeah.
right? Like, all those things, like, count against you. They won't let you in. They won't let, they tell you, you never smoked weed,
Yeah.
you never, like, touched a drug, you never looked at a drug, and you've never, like, you know,
Well, we joined in the height of the wars too,
Yeah,
so
so-
they're
yeah,
just
it
like
was
trying to
different.
get
yeah. So they were telling him like, do not say this, and I was like, well, this happened. Oh, no, it didn't. So, and you and for years and years, and still probably till this day, you don't talk about those things, right? So you don't want to bring them up because you're like, what if they kick me out or whatever, right? And they're not, but you know, like you don't want to bring those things up. And I wish I would have, so I would have gotten that medical care for it,
Yeah.
you know, and started that process, but it was until after and everything, you know. But yeah, I don't remember what we were you know, talking or how to loop it back, but
So another thing is suicide ideation among students in grades 9 through 12, again in 2018, percentage of students who attempted suicide. So non-Hispanic men was 5.5, non-Hispanic women was 11.9. So Hispanic, non-Hispanic white ratio, it says men 6.4, women 9.4. So it's higher in Hispanic men than in Hispanic women, like the other thing said. Yeah. And it's crazy because it's like 9 through 12 is high school. And it's like, okay. Because that's another thing is that those feelings, it was like, I never thought to think of how boys in high school would feel, you know, about that. And it's like my nephews are that age and my godsons are that age, and it's like I'm always very honest with them. Like I've told one of my godsons, like I have tried to commit suicide, and you know I'm very honest with him. We have very honest conversations because I don't want him to never feel alone, and I can definitely relate to the feelings that he's having, or that he's had, and you know I always ask them, how are you doing? You know, because it's like I'm trying to, the things that I wish somebody would have asked me, you know, the things that I wouldn't have felt alone with, you know, and it's like, if it's like, hey, if you want to talk to me, like, you know, and I always tell them, like, if you don't want me to tell your mom, fine, as long as it's something that's, you're gonna, you know, that puts you in harm's way.
Yeah.
Or if you want me to talk to them, I don't mind talking to them, you know, because sometimes it's scary to, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, if you want me to do that too, I'll do that too, because I don't want them to ever feel like they're alone in this. And it's like, by me being vulnerable and telling you these things, like I'm not ashamed, because it's real. They're real feelings, they're real things that happen, they're real, you know, scenarios that I've gone through. And if me sharing this is gonna help you from doing that, then I will tell you everything under the sun that you want to know. Like, yeah. That's why I think sharing these stories is important.
Yeah.
You know, like we're not sitting here campfire stories or, you know, like comparing stories or anything like that. It's real. Like You know, it's not one of four, it's four of us that have had these thoughts, you know, that three of us who have attempted it, you know, and it's like, it's real shit, you know, you're not alone. Talk to somebody, you know, and if that person is not helpful, then talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, you're not alone. Like, you're not. Like you, when you were like, Renee, when you were saying that you told your friends that you don't feel okay, you know, and they helped you. And it's like, nowadays, mental health is so much more like, not acceptable, but like more. It's more, I guess, acceptable now. You know, people are looking at it and looking into it, and it's more like common for people to do these things. And it's like, I wish we would have had that back then, you know? But all we can do now is share our own stories, share our own growth, and, you know.
Yeah.
And if you need to talk to somebody, we're always here. It's heavy stuff. And I don't want to laugh because it, you know, it is heavy stuff.
That's our nervous laughter.
It's like Dr. Cannell said. Yeah. She's like, well, sometimes when you guys are laughing, I'm like, should I be laughing? But no, it's our nervousness and it's a coping mechanism. Yeah. All right, guys, I think we're done. Diana's gonna have to go to bed soon.
Her alarm already went off. Reminder went off already.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you are in need of any medical assistance, please contact your local provider. If you are having thoughts of suicide, please call the National Suicide Hotline at 988. In case of emergency, call 911. See you next week as we talk about
The things we're not supposed to talk about.
I know you're supposed to say
that. Hey, you know how long it took us to get that out?
I know. It would be so
Practice.
All right.